This is Riley Peterson explaining the step-by-step process of me learning to create my first beer. This first step here is you're going to make your wort out of, or by steeping your grains in temperature-controlled water between 165 and 175 for about 20 minutes. And then right here, learned a valuable lesson to have a pair of tongs ready when you're trying to get your grain bag out. Took me about 15 minutes to pull it out. And then the next step is adding all of your malt extracts. That's a liquid malt extract, special dark, which is going to be pretty specific to the kind of beer I decided to make, which is a whiskey barrel stout. And in this stage, I realized that it's really important to have a pretty reasonably low heat relative to boiling, because otherwise all of those malt extracts, because they're so much heavier than the water, are going to sink right to the bottom. And a lot of the time you can get a film of burnt extract, which is going to almost ruin the entire beer. And then this is the first step of adding hops. You do two different kinds of hops normally, and you're going to add them 20 minutes apart for a total boil time of around an hour. So altogether, it's probably going to be about 3 hours of boil time to have a completely finished wort before your fermentation can begin. And here I am adding my second round of hops. The two I used for this is going to be a German Magnum hop and an American hop. I forgot the exact name of it. And this is a really important part of my beer specifically is um, the um, I guess sanitizing of the oak chips, which are infused with whiskey flavor. And I actually did that wrong. For the next time I make this, I'm going to know that I put those in the secondary fermentation, not the first stage. So I'm going to have a little bit less of a oak and whiskey finish as I would have liked. And at this point, once I have my wort completed, I'm racking that over the wood chips for fermentation. I have to take my original gravity, which is really important because this is going to make sure I have basically the right density of my beer. Um, Ultimately, this decides the flavor and the alcohol content. And right now, I am pitching my yeast, which is the component that makes, I guess, fermentation happen. And then after I have that done, I'm just going to close that up, put it in a dark place for about 2 weeks. And I actually somehow lost the footage of when I changed over my brew from the primary fermentation, which is that bucket you see, into the secondary fermentation, which is the glass jug there called a carboy. And I chose to do this basically because it allows you to have a lot deeper flavor and a higher clarity. And it's not a big difference though. It's just more of a personal preference thing. You have a little bit more of a danger of uh, germs getting into your beer. And here's the next really important step. Well, the last really important step, I should say, is bottling and capping my beer. Um, at this point, you have to be very careful not to let any oxidation get through the beer or any contamination. So you want to bottle it and cap it as quick as possible. I didn't want to bore you with the whole process because this is turns out to be pretty monotonous, capping 60 beers in a row. And then after this, it's going to go away for another 2 weeks, and then I have a finished beer. So thanks for listening.